The Hermit's Path. Every life follows a path. Most people move through their days without thinking much about the small habits that guide them, the words they speak, the choices they repeat, the routines that quietly shape who they become. The Hermit's Path is a place to slow down and look at those small things. In this series, we explore simple ideas and practical steps that can help bring a little more awareness and intention into everyday life. Nothing complicated, just thoughtful ways to live a little more deliberately, one small step at a time. The day I finally had an answer. This morning started like 100 other mornings at Dogwood Meadows. The dogs and I walked the trail while the world was still half asleep, mist hanging low over the grass, the sound of paws in the damp leaves. No traffic, no noise, no rush to be anywhere. Just another quiet Appalachian morning. And somewhere between the gate and the tree line, something hit me. Not loud, not dramatic, just clear. People have asked me for years, how do you do it? How do you live this far removed from everything? How do you spend so much time alone? How do you sit in silence the way you do? And for a long time, I never really had an answer. I would shrug, smile a little, change the subject, because the truth was, I didn't fully understand it myself. A lot of my solitude started from pain. Loss changes people. Grief changes people. Sometimes life strips away so much noise that all you're left with is yourself, sitting in the quiet wondering who you are now. And in the beginning, that kind of silence can feel heavy, too quiet, too honest. You notice every regret, every fear, every empty place in your life. Most people run from that. I understand why. Because sitting alone with yourself means eventually meeting yourself. Not the version built for survival. Not the version created for other people. Not the version trying to fit in somewhere he never fully belonged. Just you, raw and unfiltered. That takes time, years sometimes. But somewhere along the way, something changed in me. The silence stopped feeling like punishment, and it started feeling like peace. That's the part people on the outside don't always understand. They think solitude automatically means loneliness. But those are not the same thing. Loneliness is wanting connection you don't have. Solitude is finally being comfortable enough to sit with your own soul without needing distraction every 5 minutes. There's a difference. A big one. This morning, while walking the dogs, I realized something that honestly caught me off guard. The reason I can live the way I do now is because for the first time in my life, I genuinely enjoy being with me. That was the answer. Simple as that. I enjoy my own company. I like the quiet mornings. I like the slow pace. I like not performing for people anymore. I like waking up before the world starts throwing its opinions around. I like coffee in silence. I like hearing birds instead of notifications. I like knowing my peace doesn't depend on whether somebody texted me back. And maybe that sounds strange to some people. But I think a lot of us spend years trying to escape ourselves. Constant noise, constant entertainment, constant crowds. Anything to avoid sitting still long enough to hear our own thoughts. But eventually, you reach a point where you either make peace with yourself or you spend the rest of your life running. I got tired of running. Out here, surrounded by woods, dogs, quiet mornings, and the slow rhythm of this life, I finally met myself honestly. And to my surprise, I liked the man I found. Not because he's perfect, not because life suddenly became easy, but because he's real now. Steady, grounded, at peace more often than not. There's something powerful about no longer needing an audience to feel complete. That changes everything. The truth is, I think many people are terrified of being alone because they've never been taught how to enjoy their own presence. The world trains people to constantly seek validation, to perform, to compare, to chase attention. But peace usually enters quietly. Not through applause, not through approval, just through acceptance. And maybe that's what this life has really given me. Not isolation, not withdrawal, not escape, but acceptance. Acceptance of who I am, acceptance of what I need, acceptance of the kind of life that actually brings me mind equilibrium instead of constant exhaustion. So now if somebody asks me again, how do you do it? I finally have an answer. Because after all these years, I finally enjoy being with myself. And honestly, that might be one of the greatest forms of freedom a person can ever find. Walking the hermit's path doesn't require dramatic change. Most of the time, it begins with something small, a new habit, a different way of thinking, or a simple choice made with a little more awareness. If something in this episode resonated with you, consider giving the video a like and sharing it with someone who might also appreciate the idea. And if you'd like to continue exploring simple ways to live more intentionally, be sure to subscribe and join me again along the Hermit's path.